Hello students, so in the previous video children, you all studied about the various policies the Britishers followed to annex the states of India. So today we are going to study about the administrative structure that was followed under the British rule. So children, Warren Hastings, the Governor General of India from 1773 to 1785 was one of the most important figure who played a significant role in expansion of the company power. By the time children, the company had acquired power not only over the Bengal but also in Bombay and Madras. Now British territories were divided into administrative units which were known as presidencies. The states which were under the British rule, they called them presidencies, and they had three major presidencies, that was Bengal, Madras and Bombay, and each presidency was ruled by a governor, and supreme head of the administration of all the three presidencies was the Governor General Warren Hastings. And Warren Hastings was the first Governor General children who introduced several reforms, notably in the sphere of justice, in the sphere of courts. Now let's see what was those policies or what was those reforms that Warren Hastings does in the sphere of judicial system. So prior to the British rule children, the administration of justice was based upon traditional systems. Like in case of Hindus, the Shastras, and in the case of Muslim, the Shariat was the basis of justice. Whatever was written in this were followed for providing justice to the people. But Warren Hastings and Lord Cornwallis, they took steps to set up a new judicial system. Let's see what was the new judicial system. So children, by 1772, every district had two courts. One was a civil court and other was the criminal court. What was civil court? Civil court where the various social issues were solved. This was presided over, this was controlled by the English East India Company collectors, whereas criminal court was in the hands of Qazi and Mufti who worked under the collectors. Then under the Regulating Act of 1773 children, the Supreme Court was established in Calcutta with Eliza MP as its Chief Justice, and by 1781 it was decided that the English laws would be strictly applied in the cases involving British citizens, while the Indian laws will be tried under their traditional law. कि जो Britishers के laws हैं, जो English laws हैं, that will be followed strictly. Then in 1793, the famous Cornwallis Court was compiled for the guidance of the officers of the new judicial system. Lord Cornwallis, he gave various written records, various guidelines to serve, to help, to provide a guidance to the officers of the new judicial service. Then in 1833 children, a graded structure of court came which established high courts in all the three presidencies, that was Kolkata, Madras and Bombay. Then an independent judiciary was the another important aspect. Now what do you understand by independent judiciary? Like in India today also we have independent judiciary. Judiciary is not controlled by any of the power with any of the organ of the government. It is free from the political as well as civil administration. So independent judiciary was also an important aspect under the colonial rule also. It was the Britishers only who introduced the system of independent judiciary, which meant that judiciary was free from the influence of political and civil administration. Judiciary के ऊपर किसी का भी कोई pressure नहीं है. They are free to make decisions. They are free to make fair decisions for the country. Now let's just discuss about the army under the colonial rule. So children, colonial rule in India brought some new ideas of administration and reforms, but the power rested on its military strength, the strength of the army. The Mughal army, it mainly composed of the cavalry. What is cavalry? Cavalry stands for the trained soldiers who fight on the backs of horses. And infantry. What is infantry? Infantry were the soldiers who walk on foot. Now they were given training in archery. What is archery? It is the tir andazi and the use of sword. The cavalry dominated the army, and the Mughal state did not feel the need to have a large personally trained infantry. They were mostly based upon the cavalry soldiers. Then a change occurred in the 18th century when Mughal successor states like Awadh and Banaras, they started recruiting, they started appointing peasants in their armies and training them as professional soldiers. And the same recruiting method was adopted by the East India Company. As the warfare technology changed from 1820s, the cavalry requirements of the company's army declined. This is because the British Empire was fighting in Afghanistan, Egypt, Burma, where soldiers were armed with muskets and matchlocks. What were muskets? Muskets is a heavy gun which was used by infantry soldiers, whereas matchlocks was an early type of gun in which the powder was ignited by a match. So the cavalry requirements reduced because now the soldiers were not required who used to fight on the horsebacks. Now infantry soldiers were required who used to fight on their foot using various weapons. In the 19th century, the British began to develop a uniform military culture. Soldiers were subjected to European style training, drill, discipline. Everything was now according to the European methods. Their life was regulated by the European style. Often this system created a problem, children, because the feelings, the community feelings and the sentiments, the caste and community feelings of the soldiers were ignored in building the force of professional soldiers. Now, what did the sepoys feel? What do you think? What would the sepoys would have felt when they were forced to leave their caste and community feelings aside and were forced to do this? So this we'll find out later in the coming chapters. So children, from all the discussions we have done so far, we can conclude that the East India Company has now transformed from a trading company to a territorial colonial power. The arrival of new steam technology in the early 19th century also aided this process. Till then, it would take anywhere between 6 and 8 months to travel India by sea. Then, by 1857, children, the company came to exercise direct rule over about 63% of the Indian territory and 78% of the population of Indian subcontinent. It was combined with its indirect influence on the remaining territory and population of the country, and the East India Company had virtually the whole India under its control. 63% जो पार्ट था टेरिटरी का वो तो ऑफिशियली उनके अंडर था ही, और जो रिमेनिंग था वो भी इनडायरेक्टली ब्रिटिश रूल के अंडर ही था. तो वी कैन से दैट इन एन इमेजिनरी मैनर, इन अ वर्चुअल मैनर, द एंटायर इंडियन टेरिटरी बाय 1857 वाज अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ Britishers.